all those who want to score 70 plus in PM, you want to ensure that you are getting your PM passed in the first attempt, then this topic is very, very important for you when it comes to your ACCA PM exams. This is balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard is the topic that tells you about, from the business perspective, from the management perspective, that just focusing on the financial numbers, profitability, liquidity, and all these angles will not ensure the success of an organization unless it looks into the full circular approach. Now, what is that approach? For that, I think it's very important for you to understand first what is the balance scorecard. What is a balance scorecard? For that, let me just give you the case of Mr. A and Mr. B like I have presented here. Now, Mr. A normally charges 20 per unit to sell a product. Okay? And for this, his cost is around 10 per unit. So you can estimate that in a normal scenario, Mr. A is earning a profit of 10 per unit. But now, Mr. A's very close friend has come up and he says, boss, I want to buy goods from you, from Mr. B. Okay, Mr. B has come up. Now, Mr. B, because he wanted to go for Mr. A, he never searched the market for the rates, prices and all. So, he trusted blindly Mr. A. Mr. A being the very clever Mr. A, Mr. B asked, boss, what is the pricing of this product? Mr. A says, boss, he has not searched the market. Let me be the clever me. So, he says, the selling price is 21 per unit. Mr. B, blindly trusting Mr. A, he says, okay, fine, pack this stuff and I'll buy it at 21. So Mr. A being very happy, he says, wow, I've earned a profit of 11 per unit, which is more than what normally I would be earning. So now, what do you see here? Profits are going high. But now tell me, next time, do you think Mr. B will come to Mr. A? Chances are less. Because in this meantime, he will get to know from the market that, boss, you bought this stuff expensive from your very trusted person. So now same Mr. B is not going to come to Mr. A, and because of this, Mr. A is going to lose a customer in the form of Mr. B. So that means what? Customer satisfaction was the goal here that Mr. A has missed. So even though profitability went up, financial performance has gone up, but the non-financial performance went down. That is the customer satisfaction. If your customer satisfaction goes down, you lose sales, you lose customers, so your overall financial performance will eventually go down only. This is what Balanced Scorecard teaches us. Balanced Scorecard, thoughtfully curated by Professor Kaplan and Norton. It was introduced somewhere in 1990s with a thought process that a business needs to look into a holistic approach, a complete look at all the areas of the management. So to run a successful business, just looking at the financial numbers, financial performance is not at all complete. We need to look at the other areas also, like the non-financial performance measures. Okay, like I gave you one of the examples, customer satisfaction. So what does Balanced Scorecard tells us? What does Norton and Professor Kaplan, they tell us about Balanced Scorecard? I'll be covering in a while, but just before that, a quick summary of what are we going to cover in this video. We are going to be covering about understanding the background, number one, that we just completed. Number two, in detail, we will discuss about the perspectives and understanding about that. Third, tricks. So I'll give you tricks I will give you some pointers that you will always keep in mind and that will make sure that your balance scorecard is answered perfectly. So I'll give you the tricks to remember what will come in each perspective. Now we will have the summary steps that we will consider the summary steps as in summarizing the entire balance scorecard together, and then lastly I'll take a quick example so that everything falls in place. Clear? Let's go to step 2, understanding the different perspectives. So I told you two perspectives just now. One was looking into the financial performance. Of course, it is always going to be the by default perspective. So first perspective is the financial perspective. The second perspective that we just discussed, customer perspective. The third perspective is internal processes perspective, that is business processes perspective. Fourth is learning and innovation, also including growth, this perspective. Let's quickly deep dive into all these and understand what is the relevance of all these perspectives. Financial perspective. Like we've just discussed, financial perspective will focus on how to ensure that we maximize the shareholders' wealth, because it's the shareholders who invested their money into the business, then they are always looking for maximizing the returns. So it's the duty of the management to ensure that the shareholders' returns are maximized. Next, customer satisfaction. So here we aim at maximize the customer satisfaction, ensuring that there are lower complaints or there are no complaints, no defects, and customer is overall satisfied. Because satisfied customer means good financial performance, good sales, returning customers. The customers that return back, and so of course financial performance will also improvise with it. Third, internal business perspectives. Now here I can take an example, like for example, I talk about how much time will it take for my entity to deliver goods to the customer. See, the less the number of days, by maintaining the quality, it would make sure that your customer receives your products early. So, of course, he's satisfied. When he is satisfied, your sales will improve. When they improve, your financial performance improves. So, everything is interlinked, my friends. Now, one more example. You order your goods on Amazon. We all order, right? Every daily basis, we order goods. And it says that your delivery time is expected by 3 days. And you receive your products early in 2 days. What is your reaction? With the same quality, and you like the quality, you like everything about that. So next time when you want to order, you will immediately open Amazon, because in your back of the mind, you will know that yes, they deliver early. So you are satisfied, and when you are satisfied, company always has improvised profitabilities. So what is important focus area here? That every business should try to keep improving its internal processes. The more efficiency it brings here, the better is the customer perspective, the better is the financial perspective. Now you can see the linkages like this. Okay, moving on. The next perspective is learning and growth and innovation. That means there is no entity that can progress if it is not innovating with the environment that it is working in. We know that every time now, how much or how frequently do we use cash payments? Very less. At least when I am going to the market, I always carry my phone, and that is the best way that I make payments. Only UPI. In fact, I don't carry cash at all. But if I go to a shop and do shopping over there, and he says, ma'am, only cash is accepted, what I would say, boss, you are in which times you're surviving? In 2025, where you cannot afford to have any transactions if you don't have UPI also available as a facility. So the businesses have to keep innovating, otherwise they will phase out of the market. companies like Fiat, they phased out because they could not innovate themselves with the trends. Nokia, the ones that was in demand, now you can see them phasing out gradually in the different categories because they were not able to cope up with the technological advancements. So every business has to keep innovating. For innovating, what they do, encourage staff to do more patents, to have innovative ideas, to give them more training. Because let's say I want to develop, I want to bring a new change in my internal processes. I want to have installation of a new software to do the work. But how can I do the software usage if my staff doesn't know about it? So innovation and learning and growth are very essential for every businesses to bring a change in their processes as well. So like staff upskilling, training is very essential. So you can see the four perspectives, how they are interlinked. If my staff is better skilled, upskilled, of course it will bring more improvements in the processes that we are introducing in our entity, so that the internal processes, controls, they all improve. When they work more efficiently, we can better satisfy our customer, and if my customer is satisfied, it leads to re-return of customers, more sales, more profits, and so maximizing the shareholders wealth. All these points are interrelated, and these are the four perspectives that are suggested in balanced scorecard. Now, just to give you as an illustrative example as to for each of these perspectives, now each of these perspectives we will assign and we will decide what are the critical success factors, and we will also calculate KPI for each critical success factor. What is a critical success factor? Critical success factor defines the factors or the base that are necessary for an organization to succeed, to process. I mean, you can say these are those factors without which an organization cannot survive. Like we cannot survive without food, water. Likewise, organization cannot survive without these factors. So for all of these perspectives, let's see the critical success factors, and to measure these success factors, that whether actually the entity has been able to achieve these standards or targets or not. For that we need key performance indicators that indicate whether the targets, the standards set, have been achieved or not. Let's look at some examples. So when I look at the financial perspective, the critical success factors or goals, as we can call them, can be profitability and liquidity. Then how to measure them? We have different ratios like return on capital employed, net profit, gross profit, operating profit margin. And likewise for liquidity, we can measure it through current ratio and quick ratio. Customer satisfaction, I think, is the important critical success factor for customer perspective, which we can measure through feedbacks, number of customer complaints, the percentage of repeat customers. These are the tricks, people, that you should keep in mind. These are the common general factors that will apply to every question. So you remember them and you will solve every question of balanced scorecard. Next is internal processes. So here we can have the critical success factor, like we discussed, response time towards the customer orders. Okay, and here we can have the factor as the KPI as what is the time lapsed between the customer order and delivery. The less is the time, more is the satisfaction, and it's better to do that. That means the entity has performed well as regards the internal processes. Learning and growth, like we discussed, upskilling, an improvement in the level of customer service can also be the critical success factor. KPI can be amount spent in training and development of the staff, and which we can also measure as a percentage of the budgeted expenditure. Right? So these are the pointers, general points that you should keep in mind, and you can solve every balanced scorecard question with it. So don't forget these tricks that we have done in relation. Now, summarizing the steps in balanced scorecard that we just covered, guys, let's have a quick recap so that we have hold of this topic entirely. establishing the four perspectives, step 1. Step 2, identifying the critical success factors and the KPIs for each perspective. Third, once we have taken, determine them, measure the actual performance against these goals and the standards with respect of the KPIs, and wherever there is a need, take the corrective action to ensure that the goals are achieved. So that's all for your balance scorecard. And for the next topic that you want me to cover, put it in the comments section. Revise well, prepare well, all the best.